Welcome, everybody. It is the 2021 debut of Club Dynasty, Club Fantasy's Dynasty Show, with all new hosts this year, which I'm all excited about because it's me. I'm the host, Josh Hudson from Club Fantasy's No Punt Intended, with one of our DFS writers, Zach Smith, is going to be my co-host on this show. Welcome, Zach.
Hello.
Nice to get you on a podcast now. I'm excited about this. And
thanks.
I know the initial plan was we wanted to kind of have the three of us here with Drew, our other Dynasty writer. But hey, we'll settle for him being a guest this week. Drew Metcalfe, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Ready to see some Davis Mills action?
Yes.
Oh, goodness gracious. Mr. Longneck,
I feel like he's going to have like a
now for the title of the next on NFL. This is ridiculous.
I feel like he's going to have like a who was that 49ers quarterback that made his debut and threw for like 4 touchdowns? What was his name a few years ago?
Nick Mullins?
No idea.
Yeah, I think it was Mullins. Yeah, didn't it? I think it's like his debut. Did he have like a monster game?
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah,
he did good. I think
I was probably too drunk watching that game. But anyway, let's not talk about the past. We're here to talk about the future because that's what Dynasty is all about. We are preparing for what is here and what is to come in the future. So this week we're gonna piggyback actually on Drew's recent article that was dropped today. Dive into Dynasty. You can find that on clubfantasyffl.com. It's going to be a bi-weekly article. Much like this show, we will be on every 2 weeks because, yes, we understand that Dynasty is ever changing, but at a certain point, it becomes redundant. So let's just keep it flowing a lot easier here. So one of the things that Drew brought up in his article, which I thought was a really good topic for us to cover this week. So we're going to talk a little bit about running backs first because we know the short-lived nature of the running back position, especially when it comes to Dynasty. I mean, the average player in the NFL only plays 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. Let's look at now. We're going into year 3 with the 2019 running back class, right? So the top 3 guys from that class we know were Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery. It feels like Josh Jacobs was kind of the consensus RB1 that year, even though he had less than 300 career touches at Alabama. The debate really was who was going to be the next guy. Was it David Montgomery? Was it Miles Sanders? So, Drew, you went through and you had ranked these guys kind of where you see them now. So go ahead and talk to us a little bit about where you see them now and where you think ultimately they're looking in the next year, 2 years, etc., going forward for Dynasty managers.
Yeah, so this class has always been kind of a fascinating one for me to kind of follow and write about. Because if you think about it, within the matter of like less than 2 years, each of the big 3, if I call them, between Jacobs, Sanders, and Monty, have all seen the top between the 3 and all been like the dead last between the 3, kind of left for dead. So I would say, like, going into this year, Monty was pretty much the easy call, I would say, even though he doesn't really get his respect either sometimes. But coming off the top 5 seasons, it's kind of hard not to rank him as the top one between the 3. Starting off against the Rams, he was the first 100-yard rusher, and I want to say it was like December of 2019 was the last time that happened. And there's a pretty cool clip of the one of the goal line plays where literally 0 of the 5 Bears O-line blocks, and Monty still finds like his way through 3 or 4 Rams, fighting his way through to score. So I think Monty, he's probably also the one with the best chance to get extended by his team, which if anybody has followed Dynasty for the last few years, when a running back is extended by his original team, that typically kind of adds at least 2 or 3 more years of production on, since we always know running backs typically only have kind of that 3 or 4 year window. So I would say Monty is the clear top runner there. He probably will end up getting extended by his team. So for now, for 2, I'll have to go with Miles Sanders. Like going into the season, people were kind of panicking for all of these running backs they were bringing in, Kerryon Johnson, and I know they took a look at the corpse of Todd Gurley at one point, but once they cut down to just 3 running backs to start the season, that's when I started getting a little bit more comfortable with Sanders. Obviously, we got Kenny Gainwell behind him, who's probably going to start carving out more and more of a pass catching role. So that's going to cap Sanders a bit from being a top 5 guy. But I still think he's dynamic enough to be kind of like that low end RB1 as long as he can still get at least a couple of targets or so a game. And bringing up the rear is the guy that was drafted last. And Josh Jacobs, I mean, you might even say he's the actual best as far as raw talent, but just the stranglehold of John Gruden, man, it just sucks for fantasy. So you got like Drake coming in, taking all the targets. They had to sign Peyton Barber when he got hurt last year. And now I feel like even when Jacobs is back, I don't think Barber is going to just disappear and go away. You're going to see him trot it out probably on the goal line or some more than what we want to at least. So, and unfortunately, he's also a first-round pick, so they could, if they wanted to, attach or activate his 5th-year option. So he might have another 2 years in Vegas. So because of that, that's kind of how I got it laid out. Love Monty. Sanders, we'll kind of see, and Jacobs is just, I don't know, man. He's going the wrong direction for me.
How do you have him ranked, Zach?
Well, out of all 3 of them, Monty, I've been the biggest anti-Monty guy all summer. Like I've been since he started in the NFL, and he's somewhat.
You have an entire article on our website about it.
I got a whole article about it. Apparently, a lot of people read it, so everyone knows how stupid I am. But the thing is, you've seen the improvements. The problem I had with him when he first came out was he danced a lot behind the line. He didn't make a lot of decisions. He didn't hit the hole quick enough. But you've seen it the year after that, and you've seen it this year. He's doing a lot better. My main concern has always been passing work, but I actually thought about it, and that's all 3 of their concerns. Miles Sanders has Kenny Gainwell, Josh Jacobs has Kenyon Drake, and then if you look at the stats right now, technically Damian Williams is out targeting Monty. I know it's not
he took the Cohen role pretty much, so he's the pass catcher.
It's not a huge thing, and it's not going to be like a deciding factor for Monty because Monty has the skill on the ground, but it's still there. He's not going to get the PPR points for it.
Right.
So my only concern is just pass catching. So I think that caps them all, but the highest ceiling is Monty because Drew's right. He is the highest chance of getting re-signed. He's with Justin Fields now, and Justin Fields is going to, I think, help out that offense a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
His next game, I think he might have a little rough time, but I think his schedule after that clears up real nice for the next couple of weeks, and I think he's going to really separate himself from the rest of them. Jacobs always worries me with his injuries, and Kenyon Drake coming in and taking in targets. I'm not as worried about Peyton Barber, other than maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns this year. Maybe he'll take 2 or 3 from him. But that's still
all he's good at is getting 2 yards a carry anyway. So
yeah, that's all he's good at. That's all he ever does. So that's definitely a threat.
Loves it.
He loves it. Loves taking everything away.
Sanders that's a grind right there, man.
Sanders is tricky because he has the role. He has the main role to himself. Kenyon Johnson and Jordan Howard were never a thing. I was never going to entertain Todd Gurley. Boston Scott's always been a backup, but he's been a great backup. Kenny Gainwell.
Now he's not getting any touches.
He's not getting any touches now because Kenny Gainwell took over, which I was a little surprised at because Boston Scott was good, and I didn't know that I knew that Kenny Gainwell was good. I didn't know he was going to take over immediately.
Yeah, day 3 pick, right?
Just jumped right on it, and then he's matching Miles Sanders right now in targets for the year, which is, I know it's only 2 games, but we need a little bit more thing, but he's still out there. He's taking touchdowns. He got a touchdown in week 1. I saw it. I was there. I was pissed because I have Miles Sanders in the league, but
with it, at least we can say that I don't think he's like the goal line back, but I believe it was right after a 50-yard Miles Sanders run and he got subbed out. And that's
it was
came in, I think.
It was a sub out, and that's never always going to happen. But it's still a threat. Like he still threatens his work. So they all 3 have somebody that threatens their work behind them. The safest one to me is Montgomery. So it goes Monty, Sanders, Jacobs for me.
All right, so you have it in the same order.
Same
so
way.
I want to pose this question here with Miles, just because again I'm an Eagles fan, much like Zach. And I have Sanders in quite a few dynasty leagues. Drew, I actually traded him to you in one dynasty league last year because you were making a run for a championship. I've had some people tell me that they're more down on Sanders simply because they feel that he is a lot closer to potentially being replaced easier. Like he's easier replaceable when it comes to some of these other running backs. And I'll pose that question here when it comes to Monty and Jacobs, because I feel like of these three, that is a situation that maybe is worrisome if you do roster Sanders in Dynasty. How do you guys feel about that take? And I'll start with Drew.
Yeah, I mean, if they still had, like 5 different running backs on the roster, I think that, and the coach had a little bit more temptation to swap out or run them in different paths. That would probably concern me a little bit more. But again, the only other 2 backs on the roster right now are Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell, and those are nowhere near like a bell cow size of back. So I think if like the worst case scenario is just Gainwell is going to come in and completely take away like all of the pass catching work. Like if that happens, then yeah, Sanders is probably a low end, maybe mid to RB2, because again, he's still going to get at least 220, 240 carries. And with how efficient he is, he's always, one of those guys that could score from any spot on the field. I think he will break enough long plays to, still kind of come in around that top 20 RB range. So I'm not worried about him just being outright replaced by one of those guys.
Zach.
Same. I don't think he's the easiest replaced, so the easiest to be replaced. I think Josh Jacobs is the easiest to be replaced, and they've already shown it because they brought Peyton Barber, for God's sakes, to take touchdowns from him. They brought in Kenyon Drake to take passing from him, and all he does, he rushes every now and then, but he also gets hurt all the time. Well, not all the time, but he's had lingering injury problems. He's I don't know. He had one good fantasy season. I just think I think he's the easiest to fade. I think that Miles Sanders could get paid by us, but I think it will be a small contract. I think it'll be like a 2 or 3 year deal.
Yeah, I think this year will play a big deciding factor in that.
He has to ball out this year to get a contract. He has to ball out this year.
Right. He has to separate himself from Gainwell. And right now it's just kind of pretty close.
But
going through. Go ahead, guys.
Drew's right though. If he does leave, we'll bring somebody else in, because Gainwell and Boston Scott aren't going to be the main guys. People getting Gainwell and being like, oh, he'll be the RB1 there one day. I'm like, no, he may take the pass.
Very low chance. Yeah.
But I doubt it. He's got it like he'd have to go nuts every time he touched the ball to make that happen.
Yeah, so one thing I was looking at when it comes to these three, and I'll kind of end it on this. I was going through and looking at like the career splits. Josh Jacobs right now leads in rushing yards, and actually he has the exact same number of rushing attempts that David Montgomery has, even though he's played in 4 less games. But he has 2,249 rushing yards.
They were feeding him his rookie year. It seemed like so long ago, but yeah, we were all so excited about Josh Jacobs. It's so like 20 carries a game.
Same with
Jacobs leads in yards and touchdowns, but falls way short on the receiving side of things. Montgomery is kind of like right there in the middle, but is right up there with receiving numbers that rival Miles Sanders. And that's simply because Sanders had such a quality year, his rookie year, when it comes to receiving production.
Well,
Sanders falls way behind in touchdowns, but has the highest yards per carry of all 3 of these backs. And now you have him with a running quarterback in Jalen Hurts, who, mind you, David Montgomery now has, if we actually see Justin Fields now for an extended period of time, which hopefully this week is a nice preview that, hey, the Bears can win with Justin Fields at quarterback.
Right.
So from here, let's talk about a second-year running back that it feels like is just getting all the flack in the world right now, because he was a first-round pick last year. He was the only running back that went first round in a same class that had Jonathan Taylor, and DeAndre Swift, and Cam Akers, and Antonio Gibson. And by that running back that I'm talking about is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We know how high-powered the Kansas City Chiefs offense is. And when he was drafted in the first round, many people, I don't even want to say made the mistake, but they made the assumption that because he was a running back going to the best offense, that he was going to be the best running back out of this class. So far, it has not quite materialized that way. So, Drew, I want to start with you. Where do you see Clyde Edwards-Helaire's current value? and where do you think it ends up by season's end?
So as far as like right now, you would probably have to pay somebody to take CEH off your hands, just based on the way people are talking about him. Like they just want to cast him away like he's completely useless. So I mean, I will say that if like most people, or at least most people that had hyped him up, especially the CEH over Jonathan Taylor crowd, which that wasn't me, but I think we definitely have to readjust the expectations. I think we saw what Kareem Hunt did his first couple years with KC, and we wanted to automatically apply that to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And unfortunately now the offense it's changed a bit. Like back then, Mahomes was still kind of finding his footing. He was still a young rookie, but now it's the Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill show, and everybody else is just kind of like lined up behind them. So as far as like his value going forward, I think by the end of the year, he will still kind of get up to that, I would say like mid RB2 range. I think he could still kind of be, I would say top 15, maybe 12 to 15 as far as his ceiling, just because there are going to be more games where KC just absolutely obliterates the opposition. And by, the second half, if they're up by 3 scores, you'll see that volume come back. The one thing I will say that's encouraging is it's not like they're mixing in like Darrell Williams or I almost said Darwin Thompson. He's not around anymore. I can't, or Jerick McKinnon a lot. I mean, CH is the guy as far as carries, but like I said, it's just right now, it's just Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey show. So pretty much kind of a game script dependent, like mid RB2 for me.
Exactly.
He's a sell for me. I would I know that some people are like, because he was a buy for me in the offseason, but like thinking about it, I wanted to buy him just because he hit his ceiling, and it was like he was RB10 is his ceiling. RB10 is as good as he's going to get to me. Like that's the best.
Yeah, I agree.
Best he'll ever do. And I'm not saying he's a bad player, but that's just how his offense goes. He's not going to get enough touches to get those big runs. He's not going to get those pass attempts. And if people are worried about Miles Sanders being replaceable, CEH is replaceable because that's not a role that they really need. I know that they wanted him, or Patrick Mahomes wanted him specifically, but that's not going to get him a contract. Like production is going to get him a contract. And they've shown that they can get that production in other places, like through the passing game with weapons like Hill and Kelsey. And so,
I'm just wondering what you can get for him, like right now in Dynasty.
Well, for what I would do with him, his value is taking a huge hit, but I would use him as a fluff piece. You know what I mean? Like put him with Mike Evans and see if you can get like a high end, like I don't know, like a Kyle Pitts. Something like that. You may have to pay more, but I don't know, like hiding behind a draft pick or something like that.
Right.
So I'm going to throw this out there because I actually got offered this by the CEH manager in my league. I was able to snag DeVante Williams in the first round in our rookie draft. I've got 2 firsts, 2 seconds in this league going into the 2022 draft. The other manager just absolutely loaded up on rookies in the startup draft the previous year. So has every freaking rookie running back from the 2020 draft class. So he offered me Laviska Shenault and Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Javonte Williams and a 2nd round pick. See? Now, obviously, we're looking at Shenault now, who has a decent target share, but just not making the catches. And a lot of that is just because Trevor Lawrence is just throwing deep, and that's it. He leads the league right now in deep pass attempts over 20 yards. Shenault, obviously, a downgrade. CEH, only 3 targets, 0 targets in week 2. Where are you guys at on a trade like that, where, again, you're talking about a hotshot rookie running back that everybody seems to be high on? Everybody was high on Shenault heading into not only the draft, but also heading into the season with a rookie quarterback. True.
Me first.
Yeah.
So Visca, he's another one of my guys too. And even I know everybody is off him after the bad game last week. And side note, I would bet most people trashing Visca did not actually watch that game and see the situation that he was in, but that's another note. But no, I mean, I would take the Visca and CEH still. I wouldn't be surprised if Williams kind of ended up in that same mold. I mean, sometimes we forget, man, like we were excited about CEH just like we're excited about Williams right now. Like it's very easy to get caught up when we haven't seen it just because we don't know, what the potential could be. But I kind of have to stay grounded and know that, sometimes we miss on these other guys. So I think it's worth a shot to roll with CEH and then take I think Visca has a huge upside to me. So I'm going with that side, even though I know it's probably will be unpopular.
Zach.
I love Visca in Dynasty. So I would.
No, this is a Dynasty trade.
Yeah. I'd love him in Dynasty. So I would probably take the Visca CEH side as well. He's
really? Okay.
Yeah, I probably would. I like Javonte Williams. I think this seconds hold a little second round picks.
This is super flex, by the way. I should preface that.
Okay. So that changes a little bit. In super flex,
a little more valuable. Yeah,
super flex, then you could probably get a good steal. But that was a tough one. I probably do.
It is tough.
Yeah, it is a tough one because you have to project where you think that's how CH is going to do. Do you want an RB 10 to 15 because that's what you're going to get with CH forever, and Visca who could be good, but you need to get Urban Meyer out of there, and you need to get Trevor Lawrence to throw short routes, and you need Visca to. Drew's right. It's not all of Visca's fault, but he does need to catch some of those passes. But another story.
Yeah, offense is a mess.
Yeah, I get Urban Meyer away from them.
See, I'm going to be honest. I declined the trade. I'm very high on Javonte Williams, and I love what he brings to the table, especially with Melvin Gordon only on a 1-year deal. I understand how Denver runs that team, especially at the running back position. They were splitting carries between Gordon and Lindsey. They're splitting them now between Gordon and Williams. And a lot of the talk has been this is going to be Williams' job much sooner rather than later. We haven't seen it yet. This is a very good matchup this week against the Jets. And I'm saying this as somebody that's touting Melvin Gordon this week over Javonte Williams simply because of the receiving volume that Gordon has been getting. But I wanted to kind of get some feedback on this because the guy that offered me this trade is an absolute shark when it comes to Dynasty. So
if I saw that trade made, I wouldn't think that either side got swindled. I would think that.
Oh no, that's why I love trading with him is that he's not one of those people that's making a trade because he has to win the trade. You know what I mean?
Right.
You see so many people like that.
There's a lot of upside with Williams, though. There's a lot of upside.
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that he's one of those guys that, like, I see a top 5 season from him. I don't see that from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And that, to me, that's the difference in why I'm hanging on to Williams versus why I didn't accept the trade.
And then the second match is Visca right now because Visca's not really producing. So that's especially in Superflex. So, yeah.
I wonder how much receiving upside Williams would have, too, because I know he does have the capability to do it. But, I mean, Noah Fant, he's turned into a little bit of a stud there. We all love Jerry Jeudy. Sutton, I mean, he's up for free agency, but I mean, what if they extend Sutton? So let's say Sutton, Fant, and Jeudy are there. Like, how much receiving work do you think Williams is going to get? It's going to be a much more than CEH? I don't think so.
Jeudy will be there. I think they'll extend Sutton. But Williams, my only thing with Williams is he's never owned a backfield by himself. He's shared it with Carter in college, and now he's sharing it with Gordon. Do you think they bring in somebody once Gordon leaves?
Oh, they could very well do it, but I think at that point it becomes how much draft capital are they spending on that?
What if it's like Kareem Hunt or something like that?
Could be, potentially.
Yeah, that would be
maybe that cap situation. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely you're playing with straws there, but we're not seeing CEH get receiving production right now.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm just throwing out what ifs, see what happens.
That's really, that should be the title of the show. What if Marvel had trademarked it? What if? Because that's what Dynasty is all about. What if?
Don't do us Marvel.
Trademark, copyright.
That's not the title of the show.
It's Club Dynasty, everybody. I promise. It's right up there in the top corner. All right, so the last running back I want to touch on really quick before we get into temperature checks on some of these wide receivers here. What are we doing with Ronald Jones?
Throw him away.
4th year back. that is buried in Bruce Arians' doghouse and could very well get a second opportunity at 25 when most people are still in the third year of their rookie deals.
Yeah.
Drew, I'll start with you because I know you have him rostered in a dynasty league or two.
Yeah, I traded this offseason on a contending team. I just needed some running back depth. I traded a second and a third round pick for Rojo. So I mean, it didn't kill my team or anything. But yeah, I think for this season, he's pretty much become like I don't even know if he's a high end handcuff because like let's say Leonard Fournette goes down. I mean, are we gonna be surprised if Keyshawn Vaughn gets trotted out there? Because I think I personally underestimated.
They're roommates in the doghouse. Let's be honest. Like,
I know it's like who does Bruce hate more? But yeah, I underestimated how much Arians. Well, it's not even all on Arians. Like Rojo, his like the fumble in the first game, I'll give him that. Like that was just a good play by I can't remember who it was that knocked it out. Parsons, but it was just,
right.
Was it? Yeah, it might have been Parsons. But I mean, he had both hands on the ball. It was just a good, well-timed punch. But the second game, Ronald Jones just did not know what he was doing out there run blocking. And when Tom Brady gets hit a couple times because of the mistake you made, it's just you're not going to see a lot. So again, I'm not really the type to sell low on players. Like I'm not going to sell Ronald Jones for like a third round pick or something. If somebody gave you like a second or something like that, then sure, give him away. But other than that, I don't know. Hold on to him. See, he might be a handcuff if Fournette goes down. Other than that, like Josh said, he'll be 25 years old. He'll get to choose his team and go to a team, but someone that will actually commit to him. If he's somebody that can get 15, 18, 20 carries a game, he's still like a solid RB2 for me. He was like RB13 through the first half of last season before he started getting benched for doing stupid stuff. So 2021, I'm probably out on Rojo, but don't sell for peanuts. He's still a good running back.
Zach,
I'm selling for peanuts. So the thing with him is right now he's in the worst situation as he is in a running back room with somebody that he's a better runner than, but he can't catch better than, and he's also getting punished for stuff that the other guy does too, just in a different way. Rojo had that fumble, but that interception that Tom Brady had was Leonard Fournette's fault.
Oh, it was so bad.
The first one was his fault, and he's not going to get benched because he's not in his doghouse. But Rojo is always in his doghouse, even despite the improvements that he's made as a runner, because he is a good runner. He's a lot better. So a place that I would like to see him go, and that is my only hope for his value left, is San Francisco. I know that's like where people go to die, or you don't want them to go there. But if you want someone
I would love that.
If you want someone consistent that's just being asked to run, you're not being asked to pass, you're not being asked to block, because they have several running backs designed to do several different things. You're just going to be the runner. You're going to be the Raheem Mostert. Give him that. Then I'll buy him, or buy like stock or whatever. I'll buy it. I don't care. But
I'm going to pose this question here from my Wednesday co-host Ryan, who obviously you guys know. So is Fournette now the back to roster when it comes to the Bucs? He's only 26. He's dominating touches, but he's only on a 1-year deal. Is this just a situation where whenever Tom decides to go, that's when Fournette goes? Or is this a situation where we could see Fournette maybe get a 2 or 3 year contract here in the offseason? Drew.
I'm not interested in Fournette either. They're both just kind of handcuffs to each other. So if one or the other gets hurt, that's when I would be comfortable enough putting them in the starting lineup. But other than that, I'm not interested. Even in Dynasty, not really either. I just don't see a scenario like running backs. Just unless you're the elite. Well, Joe Mixon got paid. The crowd is still kind of split on him. But for the most part, unless you have to be like the top of the elite to get paid if you're a running back, and that's just not Fournette. He's another one of those replaceable.
Well, that's why
guys.
I said like a 2 or 3 year contract, right? I didn't want to say he's going to go out and get a 4-year deal because by next year he's going to be 27. Like we know that's not going to happen. But a 2-year deal then puts him at 29.
But But do you mean with the Buccaneers? I'm saying I don't think he's going back to Tampa.
Yeah,
he'll be there as long as Brady is there.
Right? Tom trusts him, so he'll stick around if Tom wants him there, which it seems like he does, because that's why Fournette is the one playing and getting all of the snaps, or the majority of them, excuse me.
Right. But then he's not doing, like, what is he, like the RB 30, 35 on the year? I don't think he's that good anymore.
Let's see.
Well, he really was never good. He was always just a high volume back. So yeah, if he was getting 25 touches a game in Jacksonville, then yeah, he was like fine for fantasy. But I think in this offense, he's just one of those guys. He's gonna be better for real life football than he is for fantasy. So he's not really a target for me either. I'm stuck with him too on a couple teams. Been trying to trade him for 2 years.
If you got to have him, then he's the back to have in Tampa Bay. But I don't like how much he doesn't get a lot of opportunities. And if I was gonna I have him on a couple teams, but I just don't know what to do with him. Like if you can add him to a deal, like I said earlier, some players have no value on their own, but if you throw them into a deal with somebody, then they all of a sudden add a little bit more to the trade, which I find weird, but it always works. I don't know how it always works, but it does.
It's like those third round picks, right?
Huh?
Oh yeah,
like a third round draft pick on draft day, right? You just attach that to the deal so you can move up.
That's the deal maker.
That's the deal breaker, right? I need that third round pick.
When someone says I'm doing a rebuild, I send my draft picks immediately to that team. Immediately. They want that. That's because that's what they want. They want young players. So I'm like, okay, I'll take Adam Thielen from you for a second. Here. He's old.
He's too old.
He's too old.
I want to point out one stat here real quick before we get into the wide receiver talk, because just seeing this made me absolutely chuckle. So of the 3 Tampa Bay running backs that have seen pass blocking snaps, right now Leonard Fournette is dominating in this area. He's played on 51 passing downs and has had to pass block 5 times. His pass blocking grade per Pro Football Focus is at 58.0. So kind of average, maybe a little bit below average. His teammate Giovanni Bernard, second on the team in pass blocking snaps, is actually far exceeding that at 79.9. Guess what Rojo's pass blocking grade is?
Do they go into the negatives?
4.
7.5.
I was guessing real low for.
You were the closest, Zach. Congrats.
It's just something mentally is just not.
It's just not.
He looks like a rookie out there, dude. He still cannot pick up a blitz.
He has to go to a specific area.
This goes back to my feelings on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I talked about this on Wednesday with Joe and Ryan on No Punt Intended. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not seeing third downs because he cannot pass block, and Patrick Mahomes makes $45 million a year. He is the most important asset to the Kansas City Chiefs. If you cannot protect him, you will not see the field. Like it just.
I thought that's what I went and spent all that investment in the O-line though. Like Clyde, just send him out on pass routes. Don't have him back there blocking. Let him go and catch a pass. That's what I thought. Like a lot of people that again were kind of getting excited about CEH. We bought into the. I think they even it was some type of coach speak piece or something. Talk about how they want to get him involved in the passing game or whatnot, because he did catch a good amount of passes, at least in the first half of his rookie season when he was like a top 10 back, and then Le'Veon Bell came in and threw a winch in that. But I thought he would be running more routes.
Keep in mind too, they revamped their entire offensive line. Takes time for these guys to gel, right? So you're not going to be able to get out there and throw them to the wolves, so to speak. That's why they need a little bit of help. And since we're sticking on pass blocking,
that's a good point. Maybe later in the year, CH will start getting that work, or
there you go,
receiving work.
And again, Ryan, if you're listening, what I told you, it'll pay off later in the year, not. In the next few weeks.
I know. Right? These 2 weeks are just everything for us right now.
The 2 Chiefs running backs that have played on passing down situations have been Clyde Edwards-Helaire, his backup Darrell Williams. They've only seen 6 total pass blocking snaps. The funny part to me is both of them are under 20 in a pass blocking grade. Darrell Williams is at 17.5, Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 12.1. Now, the more interesting one, though, is a true passing set. where each of them have pass blocked once. Darrell Williams at 75.0. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 5.1. On to the wide receivers.
Maybe they can put Noah Gray back there. We've been waiting to see him.
I think we'll go CEH is a sell, Fournette's a RB3 flex, while Tom Brady's there. That's it.
Okay. I like that. All
that.
Right. So getting into some wide receiver talk here, and Boss Man Fat, yes, I see you in the comments here. Look, I personally, I don't know how to answer this question. I really don't. And I don't know that anybody really can, because when it comes to, I believe he has bruised ribs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
that's one of those things. What's up, Zach?
Monitor the practices. If he misses all three, don't play him.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Monitor practices. Anytime you're dealing with ribs, especially bruised ribs, it's all about pain tolerance. This is what I heard Stephanie Bell talking about when it came to Tua's initial diagnosis before they ruled it fractured ribs.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about pain tolerance at that point. If you can deal with the pain, you can play. But all it takes is one hit for that pain to get exponentially worse, and he does get taken out.
And they're done.
It's a Monday night game, so he has another extra day to heal. So just monitor the practices. Keep that in mind. If you feel that you have a better Sunday option, I would recommend playing that in the event that Cooper does get pulled, because obviously then it becomes, well, crap, he only got me one catch for 10 yards.
Or if Cedric Wilson is on waivers and, like, you want to wait, like, if you could pick him up, that's probably a good plan to stash him. And, like, if Cooper's inactive.
Yeah, because he'll absolutely see more routes, and they'll probably slide extra help.
Yeah, because Gallup is out too, so he's the number 2.
To see how limited he is in practice. See what
at least limited
see,
practice tomorrow.
Is he going to practice tomorrow? Is he going to be limited? Is it like just in pads? Like, is he getting full contact? If he sits out, if any player sits out, if they don't practice at all during the week, I don't even care if they play that day, unless it's someone like, I don't know, Mark Andrews did it a couple times, but he it was like diabetes reasons or something like that. But if it's not somebody that I would absolutely trust, even if they miss practices, which would be a very small list, I'm not playing them. And even if they're limited all through the thing, depending on the injury, Josh is right. If it's bruised ribs and they get hit hard one time and we play them tough every time, he is going to get his ribs.
They're coming for him too.
It's Dallas week, so they're going to they go nuts. And the only time they didn't go nuts is when Dallas beat the shit out of us that one week. But
which could very well happen this week as well.
Yeah.
All right. Sticking on the wide receivers here. There's quite a few scenarios that we have here in our show doc. The first one I do want to bring up, because it was a very hot button topic during the offseason. It was going into second year Brandon Aiyuk versus going into third year Deebo Samuel. We saw both of these guys miss, I don't even want to say a significant amount of games. I think Aiyuk missed maybe 3 or 4, and then Deebo missed 9. So, yeah, it was a pretty significant amount of time. We saw how good Deebo looked his rookie year. We've seen him absolutely shred defenses to the tune of a 50% target share through the first 2 weeks. We saw Brandon Aiyuk average over 15 fantasy points per game last year. And we've seen him essentially benched in favor of a 7th-round draft pick, Trent Sherfield. So, Drew, I'm going to start with you on this. Where do you fall on the Deebo versus Aiyuk train? Who are you favoring right now? And then who would you be favoring going forward?
Man, I'll be honest. I don't have a strong take on this situation. I'll just say that right now.
All right, Drew, you're fired. Sorry.
Now, as far as a pure talent standpoint, like, I was somebody that was pretty excited about Brandon Aiyuk. Not as excited about Deebo, and I don't know, Deebo. I don't really like to use like the injury prone argument or whatnot for players, but with Deebo, I mean, this goes back to like college days, like literally every year of his like both professional and college career.
He played only one full season in college.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to really invest in someone like that long term, especially when like the price like Deebo right now people are looking at Deebo as like a wide receiver 1 probably, if not like high end wide receiver 2. So it's just if you didn't buy into Deebo before the season, he's not one of those guys I'm going to go out and try to like buy high on or ride the wave. You kind of just missed out on this little stretch. But going forward long term, I don't know. I still think Aiyuk will have a bounce back. He was just too good, man. It's not like he came out here and had like this, mediocre or disappointing like rookie year. Like he came out and lit it up. Like I don't care if Kittle and Deebo are out too. Like he was a rookie going against NFL talent, and he like exploded into the scene. Like typically when rookies are able to to perform like that off the bat, that's a very good sign for them long term as far as their value. So I think long term I'm still holding out hope for Aiyuk to be the guy overall, or eventually to get back into his number 1 spot. And then we gotta figure out where Kittle fits into that whole mix too. So like I said, that whole 49ers situation, I don't really feel like I have a good handle on it, but that's kind of where I am with it now.
Zach?
I'm more in the Deebo camp. I think he has a lot of injuries. He has a lot of injuries. Like you said, no one full season in college. Missed 9 games last year. But if he can get past that, he has all the features to be an elite athlete in the NFL. I think because if you look at Tyler Lockett, look at someone like Tyler Lockett, perfect example. First few years in the NFL, he balled out for his rookie year. Or he didn't ball out, but you could see the talent was there. Then he got hurt, and then got hurt again, and then you were like, okay, this guy's going to fizzle out. But then he finally got his foothold in the offense and then took off. Maybe this is what we're seeing with Deebo. Maybe he's finally taken that step forward. I like Brandon Aiyuk, and I think he's a buy low right now because I think he's hurt. I think there's something like I don't think
something we don't know.
Yeah, I think there's something we don't know because. Like Drew said, he balled out last year.
It's just so strange.
He's so good. He's not. Trent Sherfield is not better than him. It's just not true. It's not a thing. And George Kittle, if you're going to have George Kittle blocking every play, you might as well have another good pass catcher out there on the far right and have Deebo just play the slot and dominate everything. I think they'll both be a 1-2, and I think they're both buy low. Deebo's not a buy low anymore. Deebo's a hold or a sell, and Brandon Aiyuk is a buy.
Yeah, I could definitely see selling Deebo.
If you get anything more than first, like a mid,
because he just holds a lot of risk. He holds a lot of upside, but he holds a lot of risk. And if you can sell him for that upside, then you get rid of the risk and you get a reward for it.
Yeah, this San Francisco team really doesn't feel, and really for the last 3 years, honestly, doesn't feel like a traditional Kyle Shanahan team. Like we've seen, the offenses that he ran in Washington, the offenses that he ran in Atlanta, there was a definitive X receiver, and they just absolutely peppered them with targets. I mean, we're going back to Julio Jones, Pierre Garçon. Like it's just they 140 targets, and that's who you wanted. In San Francisco, it's been, well, we're just going to run the ball 500 times and only throw it 400 times. And that leaves a lot to be desired. And then you factor in that he's never had a tight end like George Kittle, but because they're running so much, Kittle's only running routes half the time, which then caps his upside because now you're relying so much on the yak and the efficiency. And what happens when that falls off?
I got to see how the offense is run with Trey Lance. I think that that's going to be a huge factor. And I think if he comes in and he does what we think he's going to do, and Deebo and Aiyuk are still there, just think if they all bloom into what we think they're going to be. It'll be Aiyuk, Samuel, Trey Lance, George Kittle, the running back they get for the week. That could be a solid.
Absolute facts. I've been on I think Aiyuk will eventually take off, but I think it's going to be when Trey Lance comes to the fold because Lance has the arm strength to throw downfield. We've seen time and time again that is not Jimmy Garoppolo's game. And right now, through 2 weeks, Deebo Samuel leads the NFL in yards after the catch. So take that for what you will. Next on the list, I'm going to go to the Panthers, which, obviously they play tonight. They take on Houston. Let's talk a little bit about DJ Moore. He was somebody that everybody was talking up, towards the tail end of his sophomore year, heading into his third year. They bring in Robbie Anderson. No Christian McCaffrey for 13 games last year. And Robbie Anderson sort of vaulted into that wide receiver 1 role that we all thought that would be DJ Moore, even though he still had 1,100 yards receiving, which wasn't much different than what he had that sophomore year. A lot of people kind of soured on DJ Moore. Now, through 2 weeks, DJ Moore is leading the team in targets with 19. He's tied with McCaffrey in receptions. Actually has a touchdown, which he didn't score much of the last couple of years. Where do we lie on the DJ Moore wide receiver 1 train? Are we back? Were we a year early? Or is this just a mirage and we all need to buy into Terrace Marshall? Drew, I'll start with you.
So to be honest, I was never really like a DJ Moore truther as far as him being like a wide receiver 1. I think as far as the talent, I think, yeah, he's a good receiver. He kind of reminds me, I think I could see his career path of being sort of kind of like how Robert Woods is with well, at least since he's been with the Rams. So, yeah, he's definitely, you want him on your fantasy team. He will have a lot of, wide receiver 1 weeks, but I just think, yeah, he's probably going to still always kind of be in that fringe, high-end wide receiver 2 kind of. I think, yeah, like his finishes, like when he got 135 targets back in 2019, for example, he finished as the wide receiver 16. I think that's probably, unless he just has like an explosion in touchdowns one year and, it jumps up into the top 5. I think kind of that, 14, 15 range is his ceiling, especially with Terrace Marshall coming in. I think Terrace Marshall is going to be a beast. He's already working his way past Robbie Anderson. I don't know, we might even see that tonight officially pass him up. And for whatever reason, Moore has struggled to score touchdowns in the red zone. Obviously, I know, playing with LSU with Joe Burrow helps, but we know that, Marshall is no stranger to scoring touchdowns. He can use that big frame as a red zone threat. So I think Marshall will kind of, become more of that red zone touchdown guy and eventually kind of cap DJ from taking that next step that, a lot of us were hoping for.
So what you're saying is he's a wide receiver 2, and that's it.
I think he is what he is. So, yeah, like top 15-ish.
Zach.
I think he has the potential to be a wide receiver 1. I think the talent is there. I like the fact that we've seen a little bit improvement volume-wise with Sam Darnold there. And Terrace Marshall is taking targets away. Right now they're even, I believe, for him and Robbie Anderson are both even in targets right now. But DJ Moore is leading the team, even over Christian McCaffrey, which we haven't seen before. Christian McCaffrey's always been the guy. And I think that injury to Christian McCaffrey, while it may not be hindering him right now, they might not want the ball. They may not want the ball in his hand. They may not want the ball in his hand as much. Not at all, of course, because you want Christian McCaffrey used as much as you can. But if you want to keep him healthy, you got to cut back. You can't give him that much. He's going to break down. He already did last year. He's going to do it again. So I think they want to get DJ Moore the ball a lot more. And I think Terrace Marshall being there and being such a stud helps him this time. Defenses have to account for both of them. And I think that when he got those targets in 2019, I think that was his second year. I think that he's one of those wide receivers that has to develop a little bit. Like he's been developing over the years, and he's finally about to hit that stride. Like that, he's going to hit the Corey Davis stride, is what I like to call it. Because everyone's like, "Oh, it takes 3 years," but sometimes
Mike Williams hitting it now.
Yeah, now it's the Mike Williams show. I don't think we should cap it at 3 years. I think we should see their situations, separate each case, and at least 5. Say 5 years. If they don't do it by then, be like, all right, I'm out on you. I think that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start waiting to see each individual situation, because you miss out on Corey Davis's, you miss out on Mike Williams. DJ Moore could be a wide receiver 1 this year, and a lot of people sold him for a wide receiver 2. No offense, Drew, which I doubt he did that, but I'm just saying.
Well, I never had any shares.
Yeah, I know.
I would have, though.
No, I didn't.
I would have done it.
And it's a great segue, too. I want to point out really quick, the one thing that I'm seeing trending here with DJ Moore So he's always been the yards down the field guy. He's the yak, right? And even last year in this offense, he averaged 18.1 yards per reception. What you're seeing this year, now last year that was combined with Robbie Anderson averaging a little over 11. This year, you're looking at DJ Moore at about 11.4 and Robbie Anderson averaging 23.8. So it's almost like
they turn more into
completely flipped
guy
now. So yeah, it to me, this is a very interesting case study. And Zach, to your point of, waiting on these 5th-year breakouts, great segue, by the way, because the next guy I want to talk about here is Mike Williams. This is a guy that everybody was writing off because, hey, he had 1,000 yards, he had 10 touchdowns, but couldn't do it in the same season. But we all know that he's capable of it. He was a first-round pick. He was 7th overall, I believe, in 2016, I want to say. And it's there, or 2017, excuse me. Mm-hmm. So now all the talk in the offseason was he's going to be the X. He's going to play that Michael Thomas role in Joe Lombardi's offense. And you know what? We're seeing it. Currently sits as wide receiver 5. Are we buying in that this is not only a this year breakout, but a down the line breakout? Like, this is his 5th-year option. So the Chargers now have the opportunity to sign him to an extension. We saw Corey Davis leave for greener pastures, pun intended. And so where do we lie on the Mike Williams train? And Drew, I'll start with you here.
Yeah, so Williams is another dude I've been interested in really the last couple of years. Because yeah, like you said, we've seen the flashes from it before. It just never seemed to all come together for whatever reason, although that reason 9 times out of 10 has been injury. So as far as I do think like this top 5 Mike Williams that we're seeing here, that's how talented he is. It's not like a fluky type of deal. Now I obviously don't expect him to be, top 5 offseason. He's probably not even going to be a wide receiver 1 by the end of the year, because Eckler, even though he did get a little more involved in the passing game last week, but week 1 Eckler had like 0 targets, and that's gonna like almost happen ever. And Keenan Allen, obviously he's a beast. He's always going to be there too. So I think, I'm sure he'll kind of have a couple dips or some value to such be. I think he's a locked in like wide receiver 2 for the rest of this year. Next year, if I had to guess now, I actually think they let him walk, and because I think they drafted Josh Palmer to kind of succeed Williams going forward to 2022. So I think he's got to be. I don't know off the top of my head who are going to be some of the other top free agent receivers, like Allen Robertson. I know for sure. Well, not for sure, but Allen Robertson is like the one I can think of off the top of my head.
He was on the.
He's on a franchise tag, right?
And I believe this is the final year of DJ Chark's contract as well.
Well, yeah, okay, Chark, but I feel like, at least, right now, if teams are looking at Williams and Chark, Williams kind of surpassed him, and I think Urban Meyer is going to kill Chark's value, which is a tragedy. So, going forward, I think, he'll kind of have his choice to, go to another team and possibly take over and now for role. He has the tools to do that. So, if he can do that and become a top receiver, he definitely can kind of sneak into that wide receiver 1 range long term. But, I love Big Mike.
I agree and disagree with Drew and saying that I think the rest of the year he's a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside. He is finally getting the targets that we've always wanted him to. If you look at him from his rookie year, he's one of those guys that I've been keeping an eye on, because we shouldn't have bought him now. We should have bought him 2 years ago, because his targets double each year. Like, they went from 20 to 60 to 90, and then they dipped to like 85 in 2020.
And you think you failed math if that's doubling.
Well, it's basically whatever. You know what I mean?
Love you, buddy.
I put this.
He's using the metric system.
Anyway, no, he's but like, we've seen the touchdowns, we've seen the yards, you've seen the talent from him. Like, if you watch him play, a lot of the catches he makes are pretty crazy. Like, he jumps in the air, twists his body, catches it, puts it down.
1-on-1, yes.
And that's how he gets hurt. That's how he gets hurt sometimes. He'll come down on his ribs because he jumps 15 feet in the air. And that's not a knock on him being injury prone, but a lot of people are going to break a rib doing that. but
he has no regard for his safety.
I don't know if you know this, the Chargers doctors aren't the best.
Not at all.
Not at all. So but the one part I do think that is I disagree with Drew is if he plays good and it continues to be that role, I think they do sign him because as much as I love Keenan Allen, old boy's getting old. he's getting up there. Ain't he 30? He's 30 now.
I think he might turn 30 this year.
He might turn 30 this year.
Yeah, he's right around that.
I'm not saying he's over the hill or that he will be over the hill, but he has.
No, he's peaked though. Yeah, he's peaked.
He's had his injury problems.
He will be 30 next year.
Yeah, if they are close in targets now, it's only going to get more for Mike, and I'm sure he's going to see that. And if he wants an alpha role, there you go. Team up with Justin Herbert. If you see that Justin Herbert likes you, why get paid somewhere else? Just stay with the Chargers, win a ring with them. Because the Chargers are a good team if they're all healthy, but that's always the problem.
I guess I'm just thinking about them looking ahead and having to eventually like extend Herbert. And at least like based on what he's playing now, like that's gonna be a lot of money. So like if you got they already signed Eckler, I don't know how long Allen's deal is, but he's at least another 3 or 4 years. So I just they can always play these salary cap manipulation games and the work magic, but that's where I was saying when they might just let him walk because they spent the third round pick on Palmer. That's pretty decent capital, and I mean he looked good in preseason, so I think Palmer should be ready to step up for him.
Might be too early for that one, but I could see it.
The good thing is that they can front load the contract, and most of these contracts anyway, there's outs after 2 years. So
yeah, that's true.
Even if they sign, Williams here to a 4-year deal, if you front load it for 2, by the time you're ready to pay Herbert, there's no money on there for Williams, and you can either cut him and move on, or restructure it in some way to give him a little bit more guaranteed money, continue to back end it, push it around. But keep in mind too, you're also going to end up having to pay Derwin James. So if he keeps playing well and stays healthy, he's going to earn that type of contract. And we've seen these types of safety contracts over the last year or so. Safeties get paid now, and Derwin James is going to want to get paid because that defense is so much better when he's healthy.
I hope he stays healthy this year.
That's what I'm saying. So, they all got to stay healthy. Like he's got to stay healthy, and Mike Williams has got to show that he can be consistent. They all got something to show.
Even Bosa's not practicing this week because he's hurt.
Yep.
No, he's always hurt.
Yeah. So last thing I want to touch on, the rookie sensation, who we all saw coming, even though we see over him, Rondale Moore. Playing not even 37% of the Arizona Cardinals snaps, and is a top 10 fantasy wide receiver right now.
He's the man.
Is this a mirage?
No.
Is he going away?
No.
All right, Zach, tell me.
Yeah, you go first.
Why are we buying into Rondale Moore?
Because we were buying into him before. If I don't want to hear that he was short. I hated when people would say that. Oh, he's so small. Oh, well, he's not that small. He's just
5'7".
Not that. If you look at 6 foot and 5'7", it's like that much. And when you're running, and if you can maneuver,
you really are working on the metric system.
Okay, that is way
next to a 5'7". He's athletic. They're using him the perfect way. They're getting him out open. They're switching him all over the field. Kyler loves him, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they can be short together. They're the outliers. People are rooting for them.
They sticking together. So they can be a whole person.
Dalton Cates tweeted this out the other day. So the most receiving yards through 2 weeks for a 21-year-old, Rondale Moore is number 5 on the all-time list. The only players that have had more in their first 2 games were DeAndre Hopkins, Randy Moss, Deshaun Jackson, and Stephon Diggs. And again, this is a dude, he didn't even play. He played less than half of the snaps both games. I think the first game he played like 30% of the snaps. And you already got, AJ Green got 1 foot into retirement. Christian Kirk they're finally going to hopefully set him free because I think he's pretty good, but I don't think he's going to do anything. Ever be a consistent option. Yep. Oh, that would be so
he'd
dope.
be perfect in Green Bay.
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, by 2022, I mean this could completely open up for him. So then, like, he's like the other side of him is a 30 to 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins. So yeah, I'm all on the Rondale Moore train. Wish I had more shares of him. I've mainly got him. I scooped a lot in best ball, but I didn't get as many shares in my dynasty and redraft leagues as I would have hoped for.
Got a few, but not as much as I wanted.
0.
Yeah.
Was it because he was small?
No.
I like
well,
I had a chance to take him. I took Marshall.
He was going where kind of in that range where I just didn't have picks. Like I either had really early first because I'm rebuilding in some dynasty leagues, or I had a couple like late firsts through trades, a couple early seconds, and like I'm getting like Rashad Bateman, which is great. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I'll take Elijah Moore, and that's who I was going with. And
yeah, and for me, I was drafting Eli. I was drafting Elijah Moore before him and Terrace Marshall before him. So that's the reason. Yeah, I have shares of those guys, but yeah, Rondale Moore, he was right behind
Marshall
him.
ahead of him. I think Elijah and Rondale were like switching back and forth for me all offseason.
No, it was like a coin flip.
Yeah, I was like more.
I guess I'm not like think about it in hindsight now. I'm like, okay, probably should have took the guy tied to Kyler Murray, but
not the guy with the Jets.
But you know what though? We all thought the same thing.
We don't know.
Hartman, take the guy attached to Patrick Mahomes, and that really hasn't paid off.
That's true, right? You can't use that all the time.
Yeah, but I feel like McCole Hartman was a surprise pick. Like I was not hearing
absolutely.
He was
counting that
quarterback in college.
That was a reach. That was a reach. Yeah.
I was like, what are they doing? Like they could have had.
They panicked because they weren't sure.
The Tyreek Hill situation. Yeah, they just took the fastest guy on the board.
They could have had Tyreek Hill and Metcalfe.
I'm glad that didn't happen, dude. Like
I am too, but that's what they
broke the NFL. Kelsey, Metcalfe,
right?
Hill. Jesus Christ!
Oh goodness!
That'd be
all right, boys. We did it. That is the end.
It's time to watch some football.
2021 debut of Club Dynasty. Drew, thank you so much.
Anytime.
For coming on board with us. Zach, thanks for being here, and my trusty co-host. Drew, plug yourself, man. Tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter, your work, and everything else that you got in the pipeline and ready to be releasing here in the coming weeks.
I don't have much. Just find me on Twitter at DrewMet_FF. Like I said, I'm going to start this Dive into Dynasty series, releasing articles every week through Club Dynasty and write for a couple other sites. So you can just kind of catch an article from me every now and then, just talking my smack on Twitter.
Sounds like a plan. You guys can follow Drew at DrewMet_FF. You can find his Dive into Dynasty on clubfantasyffl.com. You can find Club Dynasty every 2 weeks on our YouTube page. Feel free to hit that subscribe button because every time we hit a milestone, I give away a signed piece of merchandise. We just gave away a signed David Montgomery jersey yesterday because we crossed 200 subscribers. So when we hit 250, I'm giving away something else. And I got a whole closet full back here. Just all my stuff up in them boxes. Just everything. It's all there. I got signed helmets. I got signed footballs. I got signed jerseys. There may even be a signed Calvin Ridley jersey in there somewhere.
Ooh.
There's good stuff, guys. Good stuff. You can follow Zach at that should be FF Wu-Tang forever, I believe. You can follow me at the One Hudsonian on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, honestly. You can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Club Fantasy FFL. Once again, the URL, clubfantasyffl.com. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. Do what you can to try to enjoy that Carolina Panthers and Houston Texans drag race tonight, which is
Davis Mills, baby.
Fun. For Drew, for Zach, for myself, we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
See ya.
See ya.